Hello, my beautiful members. Welcome to the other half, and thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for supporting this channel. You know, in life with relationships, there are no guarantees, but as I look back over my decades of dating in the past, there are definite patterns, things that I would do where if I found myself doing these things in relationships, well, that breakup was coming like a freight train. I just didn't know it yet. So one day I sat down, painted my nails, and I wrote down some of the patterns that I had learned weren't working for me along the way. And then I wrote out a list of boundaries that would stop me from continuing the patterns that were sabotaging my dating life. Now, on the Friday videos, we talk a lot about breakups and how to get through breakups with people who have really done us wrongs. And if we can prevent the blindsiding breakups and the traumatic relationships by maybe learning some boundaries right off the bat, well, I mean, why not? Why not have a relationship with somebody who values you and appreciates you, and you don't always have to go through a breakup and learn a bunch of lessons and do all this healing afterwards. Let's put some boundaries in place so you can begin to start filtering out people who you will begin to recognize might not be the best choice for you in your future going forward. So like I said, if my advice and my experience in dating resonates with you, then these boundaries are probably going to help you just as much as they help me. So as always, grab a bottle of nail polish and let's be friends. The first boundary I want to go through today is one that I love. It's so simple because you don't even have to leave your own house to implement it. And it involves double texting. Now look, double texting is a thing where it doesn't seem like it should be that big of a deal. But if you think back, let's say that you started talking to a guy. Think back of all the times maybe you've had guys who sent you a text and they didn't wait for you to respond before they would send question marks or dots, or they would just continue to text blast you without you even having a chance to respond to them. And if you're really honest with yourself, I'll bet you anything, there was a part of you that began to lose attraction. You know, our anxiety will lie to us and they'll tell us, just send one more text. It's not that big of a deal. Just send one text. But I can tell you from my experience that one text can make or break a lot of things. If you're in no contact and you've been in no contact for 2 months, trust me, sending one text can set you back in your relationships more than you realize. Now, hand in hand with this, you know, you don't want to always be the person, let's see what I said. I actually have the list here. So no more double texting or being the only person reaching out to talk or plan dates. No more appearing desperate because we have nothing to feel desperate about. This is a scarcity mindset that is tricking me. Double texting does come from a place of anxiety, but it doesn't always look like when you text someone, they don't answer you back for a few hours, so you text them again. Anxious double texting can also look like this, and it's something that I used to personally do a lot, especially with guys that were playing hot and cold with me. It's something I really regret. It's where I would text the guy one day, and on that particular day, I guess he would decide that he didn't need to text me back. He decided to ignore the text. So the next day, I would try sending another text, and I would change the subject. And it, you know, it's almost like throwing a fishing pole out, like, well, will he respond to this? Well, will he respond to this? And if he responded, it gave me that dopamine and that validation that I thought that I needed to go on with my day and have a good day that day. And of course, you've seen my videos. You certainly don't want to design a life for yourself that hinges on what someone else thinks of you. It's like, oh, this person doesn't like me, so my life is boring. You want to design a life that you enjoy living in all on your own. And if you build a life that's so attractive that you want to live in it, it's only a matter of time before someone else is going to want to join you. So we don't want to send double texts And we don't want to be the ones always reaching out. And we're always the ones reaching out to initiate dates. Trust me, even if they accept the date, if they're never the person asking you to go out, either, you might not be giving them enough time to allow them to ask you out. And maybe there's nothing really wrong with that, but I sort of feel like it ratchets up our anxiety even more because we're never giving the relationship enough oxygen to make sure that the other person would actually initiate dates with us if we weren't always asking. It feels really nice when someone that you like asks you out on a date. It means that they were thinking of you. There's something that they want to do and they want you to join them. And it also gives you the confidence to know you're not going into that date wondering if they're only there because you asked them and maybe they were bored that day. It gives you the confidence going into the date knowing that that person wanted you to be there. And it calms down your anxiety and it changes the dynamic for the better, just the entire night long. So if you're always the one who's used to texting, double texting, and being the only one to initiate dates, I encourage you to just give it a little bit of oxygen. See who answers you back. See who actually wants to go out with you. Knowing who truly wants to be around you is valuable information when it comes to your future relationships. As members, I would love to get to know you better. Let's keep it a little more casual, a little more informal. I want to give you the opportunity to where if you have any kind of relationship question, don't be shy. I want to help you out with what you're going through. If you watch my videos every week and you feel like the advice that I have resonates with you, then I would certainly love to give you my best answer for anything that you're personally going through. Oh, and actually, boundary number 2, that's what we were just talking about. No more dating people who only sporadically decide to answer text messages. No one has the power to decide when you exist, because you exist all the time. I've had it through my whole life. I know I've had 3 men who have truly loved me. And trust me, they have never ignored me, not even once. People who care about you don't ignore you. And speaking of things that people do when they love you, no more sticking around with someone who calls me terrible names and diminishes me as a human. People who love me always want the best for me, even during heated fights. It's true. They would never publicly humiliate me or cause me irreparable mental or emotional damage on purpose. It's just the truth. I mean, when you find a relationship where you both love and respect each other, you're humans. It's not that you're never going to fight ever again, but one person is not going to be fighting with you and then going off to all your mutual friends and just totally dragging your name through the mud, or videotaping it and putting it on social media, or going on social media and just slamming you, because they want the absolute best for you. It's the kind of thing where, let's say you have a big event coming up and they know it's really important to you that they're there and it's going to look good in front of your coworkers and your boss. Now, you guys might have gotten into a fight that day, but they will still show up to that event because they know for you, in the big picture, in the long run, it's really important, and they're not going to just let some fight stop them from doing something that they know is the best for you, that you care about. Number 4 is a good one. It's simple, but it's straightforward. No more always being the one driving to them. I really like this one. It's an easy way for this other person to show you how much energy they are willing to put into a relationship, but how much energy they are also not willing to put into the relationship if they can't be bothered to drive 15 minutes over to your house to spend the evening with you, especially when you've told them that it would be really nice, if you guys could get together that night. They are not super invested. They don't care enough how you feel. And quite frankly, I would argue they don't really care enough to see you that much. I once dated a guy that I was in a year-long situationship with, and I got into this pattern of always being the one driving to his house. But whenever I asked him to drive over to mine, because it does kind of get to be a pain in the butt, I mean, he just couldn't be bothered. And he ended up, I mean, nothing ever became solid between us. We never had an official label. And at the end of the year, he moved away. Now, did I have some good times with him? Yeah, I did. But this is why on my channel I talk so much about we want to quickly disqualify people that really don't bother to go the extra mile for us. I know that when we date people, it doesn't seem like a lot of time, right? A couple of months here, maybe 1 year there, but you would be surprised how fast all this time adds up over a lifetime. And if these are situationships that you are continuously being rejected in, then yeah, the rejections are going to stack up, and it's going to start to affect the way that you show up on dates for potential future relationships. Not always being the one to initiate texts or double texting, or not always being the one driving to their house. These seem like small things, but small leaks sink big ships. Trust me, everything adds up. Oh, here's another small one, but a good one. No more starting conversations by saying, hey, sorry to bother you. You go ahead and just take up all the space. You are allowed to exist. If you start out relationships with people, especially in work relationships or dating relationships, saying, hey, sorry to bother you, it's so small, but it really says something about how you feel about yourself. It does make you appear a little more anxious or a little bit more insecure. You're not bothering people who are friends with you. They're your friends for a reason. And you know what? When you begin dating someone, just assume that your presence doesn't bother them, because you have the confidence to know that what you bring to the table is valuable. They're lucky to have you. Now, on a heavier note with apologizing, number 6, no more apologizing to someone who was abusive and mean, especially to someone who's always instigating the fights and never apologizes. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, one of the biggest mistakes that I felt like I made in my relationships was I'd be dating a guy and he would pull some total insensitive BS move that he knew was mean and hurtful. Now, would I be upset? Of course. And I might even call him out on it. But then my anxiety would build up, and a couple of hours later, I'd be calling him, begging for him to just please talk to me. And I'm sorry that I got so upset. You teach people that there is zero consequence for crossing a line with you. And then you know what happens? They lose a little bit of respect for you. And they also know that they can get away with that. Well, let's see what else I can get away with. Sometimes when you really love people and you're kind to them, they take advantage of it. They love it. They appreciate it. But some people, not all people, some people will take advantage of it. You will be the one with the short end of the stick every single time, and it'll become a thing where they do anything they want, and until you apologize for their bad behavior, well, you don't get to continue a relationship with them. From now on, this new year, someone pulls some crap on you and they never feel like apologizing, well, I guess they don't get to continue a relationship with you. Here's a good one, because a lot of times when we begin dating somebody or we're in that situationship, we're in it with this person we're really interested in, and over the course of our life, we've gotten into this habit of kind of staying quiet and keeping ourselves small. We don't want to make any ripples in the pond. We don't want to rock the boat because we have this deep fear that people will leave us. So here's boundary number 7 for the New Year's. No more staying quiet when I'm not okay with something, even if it's something as small as I don't agree with the movie that they want to watch or hating the restaurant they choose. I'm allowed to be myself in relationships. And you know what? It's a lot more attractive when you have an opinion. Yes, men and cool girls, I don't know, it's just not very attractive. Pushback, a back and forth is, it kind of, it creates more chemistry. It's more fun. It's how we get to know people. It's how you get other people to invest in you. Now they're learning about you. And yeah, if they won't give on small things like restaurants or movies, it's a pretty big red flag. They're not going to care about your opinion on anything bigger in the future. All right, boundary number 8. No more taking rejection as a challenge to win someone over. It's okay. Not everyone has to be interested in a relationship with me. Rejection was something I struggled with almost more than anything else. It was hard for me to accept that someone didn't like me, someone didn't love me, and I'm sure it's because deep down, somewhere along the way, I just wasn't getting the love that I really needed. So I was always trying to get it from other people, and it was a huge blow when it was unreciprocated. But one day I was listening to something, and this guy was talking about rejection. And he said, maybe you are pizza. I mean, everyone loves pizza. Pizza is a delicious food, and you can't convince anybody that it's not. But pizza is not necessarily everyone's favorite food. Maybe they like Chinese food, and that's what they choose first. That's their priority when they're hungry. It doesn't mean that pizza sucks, or pizza's a loser, or pizza doesn't taste good. It doesn't mean that there's not someone else, plenty of people actually out there, who don't prefer pizza as their number one food. And I know it kind of sounds simplistic, but it really helps when you finally internalize the belief that just because one person doesn't choose you, it doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you have nothing to offer, or that you're not valuable, or that there's not plenty of other people out there who would be so grateful to have a shot at a relationship with you. It really does all come down to that pesky scarcity mindset. And this next boundary actually piggybacks onto this one. So in this upcoming brand new year, no more continuing to push for a relationship after hearing the words, and any of these things. I'm not ready for a relationship. They say, I'm still messed up after my last relationship. I'm not good at relationships. I'm not ready for commitment. They say something like, I'm broken. I need to work on myself. I'm not interested. Or here's a good one. I'm just going to be busy at work for a while. Yeah, this is someone who is not willing to invest their time and energy in you. And like I said, it piggybacks onto that first one, no more taking rejection as a challenge. And also, the other thing I've learned is if somebody rejects you, but they do it in a really confusing way that doesn't make sense. When someone says something to you that's confusing, it's because they're probably trying to spare your feelings. They're giving you a genuine answer. They don't necessarily want to be around you anymore. They're not choosing to continue a relationship with you. But they really are trying to say it in a way where they're not just being so blunt about it. And the thing is, people don't go out of their way to hurt other people's feelings, especially if you're someone that they really don't know that well. It might not have anything to do with you personally. So in those instances, you're going to get the, well, work's busy for a while, or you're just going to get the confusing answers. And then there's also the things that people say like, I'm broken, or I'm still messed up from my last relationship. Honestly, they might be okay with continuing a dating situationship with you to kind of fill the time or distract themselves. but that is not going to work out in your best interest. It seems like it because you're interested in that person, so you think, oh, I can change their mind, but really it's completely self-serving for them. And it would be devastated if they messed around with you until someone came along their path that they were actually interested in, and then, you don't get texts back anymore. You don't get taken on dates anymore. They don't care anymore because they didn't care enough in the beginning. Can people develop more interest in us and bigger feelings for us? Absolutely. But I believe that this does not happen after one of you has rejected the other person. I really believe that after a rejection, if we continue to push for a relationship, we are starting from the bottom of the hill with that boulder. We are starting at a net negative. It's not even a clean slate. There's already been a rejection. You're going to put too much time and energy. You are going to work overtime to try to win over someone who could drop you in the blink of an eye as soon as the first interesting person comes along. It's not a safe position to put yourself in. And this leads right into the final boundary that I would like to go over today. There are more, but we'll save that for another member video because we do have a big, beautiful new year coming with 365 opportunities to just work on these anxious habits and maybe these patterns that weren't serving you so well in the past. As I said before, these member videos are for you. I remember what this stuff is like, and I am telling you, we talk so much about breakups, but we want to avoid the traumatic breakup at all costs if we can. We put in the smart boundaries, and boundary number 10 today is no more trying to keep people around who don't want to be there. Learning to let go is one of the hardest things that you can ever do. It's scary, and the first time you do it, I used to wake up in the middle of the night having full sweat, panic attacks the first time I ever made the commitment to really let go. But once you do it and you survive it, you teach your nervous system that you can get through it and you're okay. And the next time it gets a little easier, and it gets a little easier. It's just like anything else. A lot of times we have fear over situations we've never been in. And if your dating life has always been getting rejected and they're basically forcing you to let go because you've never really let go, then you've never experienced letting go. And that's why it's so scary. Here's the thing that I've learned. People are going to do whatever they want to do. There's nothing that you can say or do to stop them. If they want to cheat, they're going to cheat. If they want to say they're only going to be out until midnight and come home at 4 a.m, they're going to do it, because eventually, if you try to control people, they're going to push back against it. You just let people do whatever they want to do, and know that if they value you, they're not going to tell you that they're going to be home at midnight and then come home at 4 a.m. They're just not going to do it. Let people show you who they really are and how they feel about how you feel. Now, I'm not talking about letting people do whatever they want to you and roll over and take it. What I'm saying is you allow people the oxygen and the freedom to show you sooner than later how they're going to treat you in a relationship, how they're going to show up in a relationship. And that way you're not getting blindsided a year from now when all of a sudden you can see how much they're disrespecting you. No, you let people do what they want, because the moment they feel comfortable, they will absolutely show you what their intentions are with you and how much they care about your feelings. It's all about saving ourselves time, saving ourselves lifespan, and getting to the relationships that serve us. Because you know what? If we're single this holiday season, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know if you're on this channel, it's probably because you want to be in love, you want to date, and you want to have relationships. And it's important that we learn these boundaries so that we can filter out all the clowns and get to those people who are serious about us faster. So let's kick off 2025 with these 10 boundaries, and I also encourage you, use these boundaries as a template. Sit down and begin to identify maybe some of your dating patterns that aren't working for you. Just do a 180. You have nothing to lose because they're already patterns that aren't working. So you make boundaries around them. And I hope that at this time next year, you are writing to me in the comments telling me all about how on New Year's Eve you got one incredible midnight kiss. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you so much for being a member of this channel, and thank you for visiting The Other Half.